Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Disney Directors. My name is Lauren Clark,
And my name is Tori Moser.
and today we have Tori's boyfriend, Jacob. Hi, Jacob.
Hello.
Do you kind of want to introduce yourself and kind of, I guess, explain how you two met and all of the things? And
Um, you do a better job at explaining how we met and everything, but I'm Jacob. I go to school with her. We have a couple classes together. We had one, and then we have one currently. Um, so that's kind of how we met.
Yeah. So basically, the point of this episode, and you guys will see in another episode, don't know which, Lauren and I decided to each grab someone who has been around us probably more than most people, has really witnessed the most, so you can kind of get a first and second hand account. So, spoiler alert, Lauren's mom will be here for a different episode, so you
yep.
can kind of see, get an account of kind of Lauren's personal experience with POTS and dysautonomia. And for this episode, we're getting my experience, and we have my boyfriend here because he has seen it all. So he has, if anyone has a good secondhand account of me, it would be him. So
I've been in
that's
the
why.
trenches.
Yeah.
You've been in the top. You've been in the trenches.
So yeah, we met at school, and like we kind of knew, like I knew who he was, he knew who I was, and but we didn't really start talking until our second class together, and just kind of got to know each other and started dating. And on our second date, I had an episode, and you know, some could say like, oh, maybe that's a blessing because you see like how he reacts or whatever like that early in, but at the same time it was very embarrassing, and I was like, ugh, this sucks. But he was very sweet, and you laughed for sure. But to be fair, that's how I react. I'm like, hey, I gotta tell you something, I'm about to like have a seizure looking episode, but like I promise you I'm fine. He was just
Yeah.
like, okay. It's pretty chill. So yeah, and then
I kind of just ignored
but I mean, since like probably the past month or two, I've been struggling with POTS flare ups a lot more than I have the months before that.
Yeah.
And he has definitely witnessed a lot of it, seeing all the different things, even the things that I still don't know what they were, getting random fevers and stuff like that. So he kind of knows it all now. He knows me pretty well. And he's still stuck around.
Yay!
it.
That's good. So I mean, Jacob, just from your firsthand experience, like, I mean, obviously, Tori told me the story of like, yeah, I passed out on the second day. It was really, really embarrassing, and I didn't like it. But like for you, what was that like? I guess from your perspective.
I don't know. I mean, we'd been talking back and forth a while beforehand. I mean, I knew of it. I think you told me on the first date, like in person.
Yeah, I was so nervous. I was like, I'm going to tell him this, and he's going to be like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. Which is valid, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's valid.
I would.
I
That's
don't know.
crazy. Anyway. Yeah, no, I was. I mean, on that specific date, we were painting, so she just like went off to the side and had her episode on the couch or whatever, and I just continued painting. So, like, I mean, like I timed it or watched her, because she had mentioned something about her doctor wanting to know if she's like twitching a whole lot
Yeah.
during it. So
I don't do that.
yeah,
That was
Sorry.
old
Tori.
Lord.
I have I have receipts. I have the text messages of you texting me being like, "Is this normal? Is this right?"
I was lying.
Wow.
No, actually, the last episode that we filmed, for those of you that are like, oh my gosh, Lauren and Tori were in the same exact outfits, because we just filmed an episode right before this.
Yeah.
I was twitching a bit in that one, and I was like, it looks like I'm nodding along. I think it was at the worst time, too. Like, he was talking about, like, his struggles, and I'm like, like, nodding.
My brain also was halfway like, brain fog. I was like, no, not now.
I know. At least we can blame, like, any awkward silence on that.
Yeah. Or the last episode where you and I both blanked out when the doctor was talking, and we both almost passed out.
We're like, both of us were like halfway there.
And we're about, like, and she texted me after being like, hey, were y'all okay? Like, like, you guys looked like you were gonna pass out. It's like, I didn't want to say anything, but just like, you guys looked like you were gonna pass out.
No, I definitely was. I don't remember if I did or not.
I passed out after. I remember, because then I passed out after and then had a series of, like, 6 in a row for the rest of the day. Yeah. Yeah, mine are bad.
You've had, like, that I've been here for, you've had, like, 2 in, like, the same couple of hours, but I think that was the worst. I don't remember you having any more than that.
Normally, like, it's very rare that it happens and then stops and then happens again a little bit later. Normally, it's just, like, a long, drawn-out episode, and it's always, well, usually, like, there'll be a span of maybe 3 or 4 days where I'm feeling really, really bad, and then I have a few days where I'm feeling fine, and then another few days where, it's kind of off and on.
No, mine's a cycle. If it'll, like, I'll have 2, and then 2 will progress to 3, and then 3 will progress to 4. Like, it'll just come in, like, mine come in multiples. So I could have 1, and then 1 could turn into, like, I've had one where I had, literally not kidding, 8 in one day. And it was, like, the worst thing ever. And they were like, maybe you should go to the hospital. And then my doctor was like, no, because they're not going to do anything. So just stay home and drink salt water.
Yeah. I got to experience that, too.
I was about to ask, what was that experience like, being, and just, like, having to be like, this is so boring because nobody's showing up and having to wait for, like, 2 to 6 to 8 hours hoping that,
Well, we didn't go to any, like, hospital. We went to, like, urgent care areas, like, to different offices. And
we left the city, too.
Yeah, we left Huntsville because I think we went to Conroe.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't Conroe.
It was the other way.
I don't know. I was out of it.
I can't remember the name of the place.
It was
it's the same place
next level or next step or something of Conroe, I want to say.
I don't think it was a Conroe. We went. Was it?
I think so. Because my mom, like, figured it out and was like, go here.
Yeah, like, her mom was, like, on the phone calling different places for us,
My mom does the same thing. Like, if my friends take me, like, she just calls, like, 8 different places and, like, okay, go there.
Because the first one we went to said that they may or may not be able to do it over the phone, and then we got there, and then they were like, hey, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Because basically, I was having a flare-up, and I was like, hey, I need an IV. Like, my cardiologist told me, if I'm feeling like this, go get an IV. And they were like, well, we can't give you an IV unless, like, we have to do a bunch of tests and stuff. We can't just, like, trust you and say, like, hey, give you an IV. So then my mom started calling around all these places to see, like, can you just trust her and give her an IV, like, without testing her for everything on Earth? And so then she found this one place, and then he drove me, like, all over creation to get there.
My gosh.
Not
That's...
creation. It was 40 minutes. So it's
but still, that, like, the dedication to drive... Because no, I'm saying that seriously, like, and I'm sure there's some listeners who are, like, who have been there in that spot where they're like, their partner wouldn't take them.
The trauma's coming out right now.
Totally haven't experienced that before.
Yeah, drink your water. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I applaud y'all, because, like, getting in and also getting to see the doctors, especially because some of them won't take you seriously, even just getting an IV. Like there's some doctors who are just like, no, like we're not gonna give like or urgent cares are like, no, we're not gonna give it to you. And I've had to start, not kidding, have my doctors call ahead before I go to the emergency room or go to urgent care. Like I've had to call my doctors on the way in and have them call ahead for me and be like, hey, she's coming in because she's dehydrated. And it's nuts because you shouldn't have to. They should just see like, or like I started carrying, this is so weird. My parents printed out my little prescription note that says I have POTS on it. And I keep that in my backpack wherever I go. Yeah, I know. And so they printed it out because my doctor emailed it to me, and they're like, well, we don't believe you. Here's the note that says I have POTS, signed by my doctor, and there's the phone number to call and verify. And 99% of the time, it works. That 1%, however, I get turned away. So it sucks. It sucks, but like, what can you do about it?
Mm-hmm. It's always the, are you sure you're not pregnant? It's like,
are you sure you're not having an anxiety attack?
Oh my gosh, I know. Because, I mean, that was literally my whole experience as a teenager was, like, I knew I had anxiety, but they were all like, you're having panic attacks and stuff, and I was like, well, that's really weird because, anxiety attacks are one thing, but it's never just come out of nowhere. Normally it's like a building up thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I really, like dealing with this, And, I wasn't. Apparently.
Because in a way, with like also the medical gaslighting, they make you think that you're losing it. Mm-hmm. Like there is a part of you that makes you real. Like I had to talk about this with my therapist because I was like, I'm going crazy and I need to like go to a mental institution because like something is wrong with me. And she was like, nothing's wrong with you. She's like, you probably like, and like this was when I was like figuring out my diagnosis. She's like, nothing's wrong with you. She's like, I've been seeing you for almost a decade. Nothing is wrong with you. Like it's just your body is probably like playing tricks on you. You probably just need to go see the doctor. Sure enough, doctor. And everything is right in the world. Ish. But it just I think between the medical gaslighting and all of this stuff like that, and then also from the other side of, I talked about this with my parents of like there are times where I will be completely out of it, like because my parents take me to my doctor's appointments, and they were like, did you hear what the doctor said? I'm like, no, because I was out of it, and sometimes without me even knowing it, the doctor would medically gaslight me, like, and my parents would have to say something, which I think is crazy. But I was going to ask you, Jacob, out of like all of Tori's episodes, what has been like the worst one that I think you have seen like firsthand?
Let me think. It was definitely like one of the times that you were like getting all the weird sickness
element. Oh, yeah.
It was probably around the same time that like we had to take her to go get an IV. I would say probably that one because there was, I don't know. I mean, they all look very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Oh.
once she's under, it's fine, but like the build up to it was worse on those ones.
Yeah, I know.
I think during like that one, there's one point where like I remember you touched my arm and you're like, why are you so hot? And I was like, oh, thanks, but then like, you're actually, because like I'm naturally really cold, so like
so am I.
Kind of like what we were talking about last episode.
Yeah.
When someone touches me, they're like, oh, your hands are so cold, like you're so cold to the touch. And so like he noticed before I did. He was like, you're like kind of warm. And then it turned out, like my body temperature had gone up like 4 or 5 degrees, and it was like a whole like domino effect of stuff. But
yeah,
he does that a lot. Like he notices before I do, just because of the way I look. Like there's been a couple times where you're like, yeah, you're gonna go down, and I'm like, literally, no, I'm not. Like I feel fine or whatever, and then I do.
Yeah, no, my mom can't see when I pass out, but like my friends will know. They're like I'll be talking and then I immediately will just go deadpan and just be like staring into space, and they're like, oh, she's going down. Like, and my friends have like a protocol. Like one of my closest friends is a pre-med major, So like she keeps salt in her backpack. Like she has a salt shaker that that she keeps with her, because you can like get stuff from like the student store, and so she bought salt and like put salt under my tongue and gave me water, and I woke up and I was like I passed out. Gosh darn it. I was like it sucked because I also have that like secondhand embarrassment of not wanting to pass out in front of my friends.
Yeah, it's such a defeating feeling, like whenever you do wake up, because it's like again,
Yeah.
seriously, I just went down, and it's such a waste of time too.
Well, like especially because depending on how long they last, because like Tori, I don't know how long yours last, but like mine will last 5 seconds to at most. My longest fainting episode has lasted like 4.5 hours. Because
Mine is about the same thing. I don't know if I've ever had one
5 seconds.
I don't know if I've ever had one as short as 5 seconds. I feel like
You've
normally
had like a 2-minute one.
Yeah, it's normally a couple minutes, and then like maybe 2 or 3 times ever have I had one that's lasted several hours.
Yeah.
So like usually when it's that, it's pretty bad. And that was the way I got diagnosed in the first place. Was I had one that was probably 5 hours, kind of long.
Yeah.
And I only knew because my friends came over and they didn't know what was going on. So they, called the paramedics and everything, and they were like, well, everything looks fine, you're probably just having another panic attack. And I was like, oh, that's awkward, and, but I am glad to know what it is now because I can tell people ahead of time. Now, it sometimes is awkward because I don't go around announcing it. Well, I guess now I kind of am by being on this podcast, but, I don't usually walk into a room and be like, hey, guys, I got POTS. But then if I'm starting to feel bad, it's like, hey, what do I say? Like, hey, guys, I'm about to pass out, but I promise you it's fine. Or, like, what do I say? It's always, like, a weird thing. So there's people that know.
I had to, in all of my classes, because I have disabilities, I have to tell them at the beginning of the semester for each class in front of the entire class and tell them what to do. And like, and I'm also in a theater cohort of like 16 people. And so because I'm also teaching people, there was one time where I almost went down while I was teaching, like in front of other people. And like my classmates, like I had to tell them like where my stuff was. And like, luckily where I was teaching, there is like a hospital inside. So like if something were to happen, they could just give me an IV. But it was really scary because I was like, but I don't want to talk about it. Like, it's like, I don't want to tell people. And they were like, dude, your heart rate is at 200 and something, and you're laying with your legs on the floor, like laying with your legs on like the wall, and your body is like on the floor because you're trying not to pass out in the hallway. I was like,
but it is good for people to know, which, I'm interested to talk to your mom too, because thankfully I don't have to do that. I do have to tell my professors at the beginning to get like disability accommodations.
Yes,
and so far all of my professors have been super understanding, super nice about it, even the ones that I thought were kind of intimidating. But like I tell one of my peers, students in each of my classes, like, hey, like I have this or whatever, just in case. So like, because the professor has a lot of students, they may not remember. So I usually tell at least one other student, like, hey, this is what I have. If anything happens, this is what you can do. Because it's always like, hey, well, what do you do when you go down? And it's like, well, when I'm under, it's more just like making sure I don't hurt myself. But then when I wake up, it's just like pills, salt, water.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do. It's not like, hey, go get an EpiPen or something. It's not like that.
Yeah.
So it's usually pretty simple as far as that goes. But outside of school, it is very helpful having him because, it still happens when I'm alone, but it's just a lot better when someone else is there to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one time that she was going up and down the stairs because she lives in the second story. And she was getting stuff out of her car, and there was like just a pile of blankets in the back of her car with it open at the foot of the stairs, essentially. And I was like walking up because I was coming to see her.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll get these last few things and close it. And I went upstairs, and she was just on the floor out.
Because I was going up and down the stairs because I was trading cars with my parents, and I had all this crap in the back of my car. So I
Mhm.
started going down, getting stuff, bringing it back up, and like went up and down several times. And I remember,
Wait, you didn't stop? You didn't take a break and stop? You just did that?
I mean, I only had like so long until they were gonna be here, or so I thought. And so I remember the last trip that I took up. It wasn't going to be my last trip, but it ended up being my last trip. Up the stairs, like near the top few stairs, I started praying. I was like, God, do not let me fall right now on these stairs, because I was like, literally, my vision was going out, and I could like feel myself. I think I was at like 180, and then so I came in. I came into my apartment, and I dropped everything once I got in my room, and I like put myself on the ground. I have like this rug that I have for this sort of situation, so I'm not on the hardwood floor. And I remember like putting myself down, and then he was here and was like, I don't even know. I don't even remember like what really happened when I woke up, but I was just glad I made it inside and like put myself down so it wasn't like in the middle of the stairs.
Yeah. Because that's also scary. Because like you're standing like all the way up, and then thankfully you have enough energy left before your body's just like, okay, you're done.
Yeah. And like like there's different things where I know I'm about to go down. Like I can feel it, like especially when your chest starts hurting because it's beating so fast. But like at this point, I felt like nothing up here. It felt empty, and like it so lightheaded.
Yeah.
And vision was going out. I was like, I'm majorly blind right now. I need to like get down on the ground.
Yep.
And I did, and then I was out. I don't know how long it was though.
I mean, whenever I got here, you were under for like an additional, I don't know, 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I don't know when I went out originally, but I don't know.
It couldn't have been that much. Like, it couldn't have been that long. Like, you probably went out.
Because we were probably texting before you had.
Yeah, because you had texted me that like you were doing whatever, you had unlocked the door or something like that. And,
Yeah.
And I came over, and it's a 15-minute drive from where I live here, so.
Yeah, normally whenever like he is coming over, I'll unlock the door because there are occasions where like someone is on their way over, and within the time from they leave and like text me to like when they get here, I could be out.
Right.
So I just go ahead and unlock the door, because then if they're like, hey, I'm here, and I like get up and I'm like, whoa, and I can't get up and go get the door, then they're stuck out there.
Right.
So, but also I'm just kind of like, you know your way around. You can just walk in.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we have a system now.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. Tori has also shared with me that like you're also in the film industry. I think
Yes.
that's right. Okay. So like on set, has it ever happened where like you've passed out on set, Tori, and like has it been, I don't know if it hasn't happened, but like when it does happen, how does, I guess, other people sort of react when y'all
You did on Project Z, right?
Yeah. So we were on Project Z, which shameless plug.
Yes. Watch Project Z when it comes out tomorrow. I will probably end up posting this later today. Watch Project Z tomorrow.
7 p.m. Central Time. Anyway, I always forget about the time zone difference. But anyways,
yes.
On Project Z, we filmed that in the Texas heat in the middle of the summer. So every single day, at the end of the day, I was able to make it through the day, running pure off adrenaline. But at the end of every single day, I believe I had an episode.
Yep.
And sometimes they were still on set, but sometimes, like most of the time, it was like whenever I got back at home, and there were only like Nefemi or whatever. I remember on that set, it was That's crazy.
Hold on, where's that fire truck? Okay, it's not outside my apartment. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, we have a lot of old people that live in my building, so I was about to be like, am I not hearing the firework going off? Like,
Oh my gosh. So on that set, it was actually I didn't get diagnosed with POTS till a week after Project Z, so I still did not know fully what was going on. But I was like, I got to get through this. Like, there's money in this. There's like,
yeah,
I can't just like not be there. So I did though. I talked to my first and second AD whenever we started shooting outdoor scenes, and I was like, hey, um, this is what I'm dealing with. And I had like an indication, like they were saying they think it might be POTS. So I was like, it's probably something like that. You know, like basically this is what happens. This is, you know, if I go out, it's like fine or whatever. And they were like, well, what do we do? And I was like, well, I don't know, because I don't really know what this is. But they were super sweet and helpful, and you know, so it never happened in front of like the entire crew or anything. I think one of the days I'd sent all of the cast and crew inside in the air conditioning to like eat, and they ended up
yeah,
playing like musical chairs or something. And I was still outside with Nefemi, my associate producer, and we were kind of talking about making some script changes and stuff. And I went out then, but like no one was around, you
yeah.
know, and that was helpful because I feel like I use up all my energy to not let it happen when anyone else is around.
Me too. Me too.
But I think for the most part, all my other sets, it's been just like it takes a lot out of me. So at the end of the day, I'll be going out. But once I'm at home, it has not happened on set. But we've been on the last two sets I've been on. He's been on too.
Yeah.
So I don't think I look out of it or anything.
On Nefemi's set, you were starting to. I don't know if you actually went out, but you like laid down on the chairs in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And he was like trying to serenade you.
So one of the people on the crew
Uh-huh.
like wanted to perform this like musical number that he knew, and I'm like, we're like in the middle of like
And he was eating Chick-fil-A while doing it.
yeah like
Oh my gosh.
beginning of the shoot or the end.
Yeah, it was at the beginning. Like we walked in, like we were waiting on equipment. William got there, and me and William were unloading equipment. He's a so he should have been helping with that. He got there and was just like, I got Chick-fil-A. And then he sat down and like me and William went out to the truck. By the time that we got back inside with some gear, he was sitting there with a plate with like one of the Femi's plates.
Yeah.
Had like ketchup on it, and I had all this stuff like laid out on the plate, and then he was just singing.
So basically, like, so
We were so confused.
Nefemi was the executive producer and the director on this film, and I was the producer and first assistant director.
Okay.
So we like kind of moved into the kitchen to kind of have a private conversation, you know,
Yeah.
because typically we aren't having conversations about any changes or plans in front of the entire crew. So we kind of moved off to the side to like talk about whatever. And then in the middle of our conversation, I was kind of like, ooh, I think I need to lie down. Like I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. And so, and they had moved all the chairs into the kitchen because we were filming in the living room where the chairs were.
Yeah.
So I like kind of lied down on those chairs, and you know, Nefemi was just like, you know, hey, I'll hang here and make sure you're okay. And then he comes in the kitchen, not him. This grip comes into the kitchen and is like, hey guys, I have this musical number memorized. Do you want to hear it? And I was like, I don't know about right now. I'm trying to kind of stay awake. And then he like proceeded to perform the entire musical number in the kitchen for us. And I felt bad because I probably looked so rude, but like I was not really paying attention because I was like kind of like going out
of it. Yeah.
But I'm so glad you witnessed that from another angle.
It was funny. Yeah.
It was, you know.
Me and William immediately went back and were like, no, that's weird.
He was great. I mean, it was very entertaining and interesting. But I think that's kind of the only time recently that I've almost gone out on set, but I didn't. I probably did when I got home. But what did I not? Did I?
Yes, that day you.
I don't remember these episodes, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Nobody ever does. That's like the worst part of it, is that like you are like, oh, I probably did have one. I think.
Yeah,
Like,
see,
and you
were no
never.
better than me.
Yeah, I think you did. Because no, that was a different day. A different day. The last day of that shoot, I had gone to get pizza for everyone, and you were not feeling good.
Oh,
Like from the start of the day, I think that was actually the day that we. That was the same day that we had taken you
Urgent
to
care.
urgent care.
yeah.
But you weren't feeling well.
Yeah, I
Couldn't
woke
make
up. I woke up that morning and I got out of bed and immediately I was at like 170 standing there and I was like,
Ooh.
oh no. And so I called
Yeah.
my mom and I was like freaking out. I was like, I'm feeling really, really crappy, but I don't want to tell this crew and the director that I can't show up because
Yep.
I have all the paperwork. I'm the assistant director. Like, I don't want to give her more stress. And my mom was telling me, you just need to like tell them you can't come in.
Yep.
She was like, is Jacob available to bring you somewhere if something happens? And I was like, well, he's on this set. And she was like, what about Nefemi? And I was like, no, it's Nefemi's set. And then the only other person I could think of, my roommate, was out of town. And so I was like, I'm just going to wait it out. And, I won't go to this set, but I'll just like rest here and chill. And then after they wrapped, he texted and was like, hey, can I just like come over and, be with you so you don't like, die? Which I did, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Then when he came over, I was like, okay, it's good because I have someone, but like let me still wait it out a bit. And I think maybe like an hour later, I was like, yeah, I need to go somewhere. And then we started the whole trek of like trying to find a place that would give me an IV.
Right.
And after I got the IV, like I felt a little bit better. I ate and everything.
You were still out of it.
But then the next morning at like 3 a.m. is when I like woke up like shaking uncontrollably and I was like sweating and chills. I had like a massive fever. And I was like, what was IV for then? Like I just spent all that money to feel better.
Because I remember you texted me and you were like, I had a fever. I was like, that's not normal. I was like, you're getting sick. And you're like, no, I'm not. I was like, Tori. I was like, that's not normal.
Like the weird thing is I never got any flu symptoms or COVID symptoms or anything. It was like just a giant POTS flare and then on top of that a fever. So I still don't know. So I can't give you guys medical advice. I still don't know what that was. But he was there for the entire day before. And I want to say on the Sunday too when I did have the fever. Because
I think so too. Yeah.
Oh, you know what it was? I woke up with that fever and everything, and I like took a cold shower to try and like bring it down. I took ibuprofen and ate and everything, and then I was gonna lie back down, and I ended up falling asleep. And then he called me and was like, "Hey, I'm outside your door. Why aren't you answering?" Because we had planned to go to church together.
Yeah.
Not know I was gonna like fall back asleep and like not hear anything. And he had called several times to go through Do Not Disturb, which I'm glad he did, and was like, hey, I'm outside your door. And so then I had to get up and answer, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened this morning. And I still don't know. But yeah, he's a trooper.
The only reason that I know that you have to like call multiple times before you get to actually go through Do Not Disturb is because my friend Cordell has like everyone on his phone on that.
Oh my god.
Like his mom and like one other person, but that's related to his job.
Yeah.
And, like I'm just like, how dare you, homie? Because he literally never answers his phone and he never texts anything because he has everything on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I even knew that like I would have to call multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of like also gained a whole new skill set just dealing with me. Like, I don't know. I'm very grateful for you though.
I could be immersed now.
Exactly. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I don't even know if you realize this, but you catch a lot of things more quickly, and you just kind of know what to do. I don't know. You're just on top of it.
Well, you blink a lot whenever you're about to go down. You breathe heavier, and then you also just like there's like a lack of consciousness. You just
Yep.
so, like, you take longer pauses whenever you're speaking because you normally speak pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Same thing.
Normal, I don't know, easy to determine.
Yeah. With this always happens with the twitching too.
Mm-hmm.
Is if I twitch once, then I'm thinking about it,
Yep.
and then it keeps happening every time. Like when I see someone else twitch, I start to twitch. It's super annoying, and like I will twitch, and he'll be like, "I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be out." And then every time I try to be like, "No," I'll twitch immediately. Like
Yep.
the worst timing, I'll be like, "No," and it's like,
Don't start it.
like,
So
oh.
my friends are like that too. Like I have one specific friend who like when she was literally like scrolling on her phone and she heard me like get out of my chair and like she had her headphones on and like moved positions, sat on the floor and like moved a pillow so that way if I did fall, and turns out I did end up falling, I fell into her lap and I woke up and I was like, she looked at me, she was like, "Hi." I was like, "I passed out." She's like, "You did?" I was like, "That sucks." I was like, "I don't want."
Good friends though that like are just so comfortable with it.
They've gotten more comfortable with it because like there are times where I'm walking out the door to come to campus, and then I will literally be at the door handle, and I'm like, and I will turn right around and I go sit on the couch, and I'm like, "Guys, so I'm not coming anymore because I'm about to pass out. So call me in like 2 to 6 hours if y'all don't hear from me, or call my mom." Like,
Crazy.
it's crazy.
I'm so blessed
Oh, go ahead.
to be
Yeah.
just a normal, healthy person. It's awesome.
Yeah, he has no health problems, and I'm like over here with all of them. I'm like
Lucky duck. I feel like
It's-
that's
it
lucky.
works though because see, if he was the one passing out, that would be really bad because I cannot catch this man. Like, I mean, you're
Well, not only that, but that would give you more anxiety.
But
You're-
if I didn't have the health problems, I wouldn't have anxiety. I think we just figured it out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I really wouldn't wish this upon him or even people I don't like.
Yeah.
First of all, that'd be rude. But also, it really is.
It's a pain in the butt. It's
Yeah,
a pain in the butt.
Even when it's not painful, it's inconvenient. And there have been times where I'm trying to go to work or school, or even like when we're gonna go out and do something, and I'll get all ready and like get to the door and be like, "Whoa, I'm not gonna make it down the stairs." For context, I'm on the second floor of an apartment complex,
Yeah.
so I'll be like, "Dang, I don't know if I can go anywhere," and it's really annoying because I have like a whole plan for each day. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go here, and whatever. And it's already hard enough to find enough free time to do something with your friends or to go on a date or something like that. So if we have something like that planned and I feel like crap, it's so infuriating.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
something.
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, but like it's frustrating because you want to like be able to do all of this stuff, but it's also like very limiting.
Mhm.
Like I will probably end up getting an IV today before I go to formal tomorrow night because formal tomorrow night starts at like 9:30 at night and goes until 12 o'clock in the morning.
Like,
And then
that's crazy.
and then there's a party the following night, which I'm not going to because I'm on a film set like the whole weekend starting tomorrow. But it's crazy because you want to be able to do other things and you can't, and you feel bad because it's like I don't want to disappoint the other people, like my friends or like my family, and I've even had to cancel meetings like with producers and stuff, and like that that hurt for me. The first time I ever had to cancel a meeting with producers for like a really big like job opportunity. I was like, I'm having a POTS flare and I can't come and I'm so sorry. And like luckily my producers are like the most understanding people in the world. Like I love those two dudes. And they're so understanding about it. They're like, yeah, no problem. Like we can just reschedule it for another week. And they're very understanding, but at the same time it's like I shouldn't be the one canceling because of a health issue. Like it's kind of infuriating, but
like it always makes me feel guilty too. Like I'm having the same problem right now. I'm trying to find like internships, and there's like some that I can't even bother to apply to because a lot of internships are like you need to be moving around, helping move stuff around, doing more physical labor, whether it's hard or not. And I can't really help with a lot of that. And I feel bad being like, hey, I want to try and do anything and help with anything, but I can't do all that. Because I like trying to, like asking for special treatment. I hate it.
It's so weird, like to the point my parents are just helping me now find remote internships. Like that's where I'm at now. Like it's just finding a internship point blank was hard because of like what class year I am. And they're like, oh, you don't have enough experience, so we just can't take you. Combine that with having chronic illnesses, it's just all goes out the window. Like I have one job this summer, but it's for literally 2 weeks and then I'm done. Like it's for a summer camp. And that's all I'm doing the entire summer. And then I'm just like traveling with my parents and doing work for them and like taking pictures. Okay. And basically taking like pictures for their business, and that's it. That's all I'm doing. And I couldn't find any jobs, like no remote jobs or anything like that could, keep up with having pods, especially because once summer starts, at least on the on the East Coast, it gets warm here. Really, like really, really bad. And handling the heat, especially in New York and New Jersey, you pass out like 9 times out of 10. And that might probably be the reason why like mine are so bad. Now because the weather is always changing here. Like yesterday it was like 60 degrees and today it's like cold and rainy. So,
we just switched weather, I guess. Now it's sunny here.
Yeah, we just had 3 days of rain.
And tornadoes.
Yeah.
We had a tornado warning and it didn't even happen. But like last week we had like a really, really bad storm that like knocked out power and trees and power lines and like it was bad. It was really it was I guess moving down slowly, I guess, and hitting like other states. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was bad.
Yeah, the supposed tornado we had, I don't know, they were like stay inside, seek shelter, and I was like, I want to go home.
I actually didn't even know that it was going on because I have all those alerts turned off on my phone because they get annoying. Because we're Texans and we don't care whether or not something's going on. We're going to go do whatever we want anyway.
That's so true.
So I didn't even know it. She had to tell me that there was a.
I know we get these notifications at our school. I mean, as most schools do.
Yeah.
Ours is called cat safes, where they'll send out a text or an email or a call, however you prefer. I get all three.
Yeah.
And it's basically just tells you like, hey, there was like, I think the top 3 have been someone committed arson to a random tree, and then a prisoner escaped. Like, where our school's right next to a prison.
Oh, okay. Lead with that. Jeez, lead with that.
There's, I think, 17 prison entities within the Huntsville area. So
it's sketch. So
that'd be sketch. That's that. I would be running as a Black person. That sounds like something out of a horror movie. I would be running far away.
It's
far.
On it. That one happened in the arson, and then there was one where our student center, the front of it, like facing towards the plaza, is all glass windows. And for some reason, someone decided to break every single glass window, like not just one to get in. Like someone somehow broke every single glass window. This was what, last year or the year before?
I have no clue what you're even talking about.
Okay, so this must have been in 2022, because then I remember everyone was talking about, oh, did you see what happened to the student center, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. And then I got to school, and where all the windows were just plywood. Like, they had to replace it all
Wait,
with plywood.
where?
The LSC?
Like
The front of it?
the big front, like
Yeah.
where they have the Sammy.
All the windows were
This
gone.
was before I was here.
Okay,
This
so
happened because I would
2022.
have remembered that.
Okay.
Because 2022 is the first year I started going to the school.
It's
And
crazy.
that was the same year that the prisoner escaped too, because the prisoner escaped, and then some student gave him a ride in his like prison jumpsuit. I'm like, how can you be that stupid? But so that, and then like someone broke all the windows, and then I think the arson was last year. But there's always something at the school, always.
It's not boring, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an interesting school, but not like that. Like the most we had was like somebody, like two little middle school kids tried to stab somebody from our school. Yeah, no, again, we're in New York. Like, come on. So like we had two.
We're crazy.
I mean, yeah. And then, but our school's also old. So one of the bigger issues that like we just started having was the fire alarms going off because all of the buildings are old, and they haven't replaced the fire alarms. And so I have friends that live like towards like the gym, and so somebody I guess was using a hair dryer, and turns out I guess where the smoke detector is and where like the ceilings are low, so the smoke from the hair dryer went into the smoke detector and set it off. Five fire engines, fire marshal, Yonkers police all show up, and then they obviously all leave, no fire, and then literally like not even half, like 4 hours later, because that was in the morning, 4 hours later, fire breaks out in that same building because, well, no, not fire breaks out, the fire alarm goes off because somebody was using the shower. All because somebody was using the shower. And then literally like 12 hours later, fire breaks out in a different part of campus, and like it was just like that week I counted, I think there were like the fire department had come a total of I think like 15 times. Like it was crazy. And then you count the 20 medical emergencies of people rolling down the hill and breaking their head open and fights breaking out. And so yeah, we have a lot. Again, it's New York. The fights break out. So
I get the fire alarm thing though, because my first semester here was my best friend's first semester at Texas A&M, and he was living in the dorms,
mhm.
and they actually had 4 fire alarms in one night. Like the entire dorm, like every floor, all 4 floors of the dorm have to evacuate.
Yeah.
And they started at that point keeping a counter of how many, like, since that point in time they've had. And like by the time that he moved out of the dorm, it was like, I want to say it was like 120 something.
Oh my
It was either
gosh.
121 or 112. I can't remember.
Like, but some really high number.
It was like crazy. Like that's too much.
Yeah. No, I remember I went to go visit my friends, and at the end of last year, I injured both of my knees and both of my ankles and both of my feet and sustained a concussion, which obviously made my POTS worse. And I was on crutches and in a boot and also in a wheelchair because I was double booted. And the fire alarm went off, and I was in the middle of having a POTS seizure episode while the fire alarm was going off. So I literally, because you couldn't take the elevator, so I was literally hobbling down the stairs. Like I had, like, luckily I had my shoe in my bag, but like I threw my shoe on, took the other boot off, and hobbled down 4 flights of stairs.
Great.
Out to like the back part of where like my friends live. And like campus safety was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like the room was spinning. Like I thought I was seeing stars. Like all of my friends were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm gonna pass out and I don't wanna." And it was so bad. And then we came back in, and like I was like, what happened? Like what was the cause of the fire alarm going off? They were like, "Oh, somebody was hotboxing."
Why is it always that?
Especially here, like back in Bryan College Station where I'm from, like
Mhm.
I don't smell it as often, and I don't like hear of it or see of it as often. But as soon as I moved here, it's just everywhere.
There are designated benches on our campus.
That's crazy.
Yep. There are specifically 4 designated benches on our campus for people that want to do recreational things. And then there's a little spot on the inner part of campus where people hang out and also do that. So it's either hotboxing or people not knowing how to cook and burning things. That's been like the number one reason right now.
Listen. Okay, see, I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna sound really dumb, but I'm about to expose myself.
Uh-oh.
Earlier, when you thought you heard a smoke alarm and you mentioned about something being old, I didn't hear you all the way. So I thought you were trying to say there's a bunch of old people that live here and they, like, I don't know, keep burning stuff all the time or forget about whatever.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, because the fire department was going by. Majority of my building is like old people, and so the fire department.
Okay.
Yeah, so the fire.
Earlier, you were like, our buildings are old, and I was like, oh, is that what she meant?
No, well, my school buildings are old, but like there are a lot of old people that live in our building, and so the fire department comes like a lot.
Well, not only that, but just like the ambulance itself.
Yeah, and we're also right next to a hospital, so like 80% of the time, I'm woken up at like 2:00 in the morning to the sound of sirens.
Yeah, there's always sirens. I think every time you're here, you hear them too, because it's at least once a day. There's sirens that go past my apartment, because my apartment is pretty close to some major highways and freeways that like go, around the town, around the city, and so it's like every single day you hear some type of siren going past, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. It's
either sirens, or my favorite is you can't detect if it's fireworks or a gunshot, because I live in New York. Like, because where I live, like the carjackings have been also really high. So like I'll be on the phone with like, Anna or one of my other friends, and I'm talking, then I hear bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, let's see, do I leave? do I run into my bathroom and lock the door? like what is my plan here? And so I'm like, I don't hear sirens. Okay, I don't have to move myself. If I hear sirens, then it's like, okay, we're going into the bathroom. So,
or even when it is a gunshot, you're still kind of like, is someone hunting or is someone being murdered? Like,
more so here than there.
Yeah, I was gonna say
here. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone's hunting where you are.
Out in the country, we shoot guns all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm also originally from because I'm not originally from New York either. I'm originally from the country, so like people having guns in the country is so much more normal to me, because they're
recreationally go out and
right. It's like
burn trash.
I thought you were gonna say shoot people.
No, we shoot raccoons.
He's the problem.
And pigs.
I know how to use a gun, but I've never obviously shot one off. But Jersey, because where I'm from in Jersey, has like coyotes, bears, raccoons, bobcats, the bigger stuff. Mostly bobcats. We have a lot of bobcats.
We have bobcats here. Not a whole lot, but we have them.
Yeah.
Well, where I'm from, I jokingly said that I live in a valley in the mountains, but not kidding, I live in a valley in the mountains. So it's mountains, valley, and then where I live, it's either our cow got, and I live next to a farm. So I live next to mostly farms. So either a cow will get out, horse will get out.
It's always the cows.
It's always the cows or the horses. My favorite is when the horses are just just flying, and I'm like, oh, and then I see my friends driving with their trucks and the big giant trailers on the back, and I'm like, oh, so so and so horse got out again, and they're like, yeah, and we've been trying to catch him since 6:00 in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know that one horse that they bring to campus and they'll tie up to that tree, and they have right outside the LSC. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No clue.
They have this horse that's I haven't seen it in a good few months, but they'll bring it to campus occasionally. I don't know who they is, but I know there's this horse that will be on campus. Because I think it was a year or two ago that you and I had a conversation, and you were making fun of me for southernness or whatever, and I was like,
I was making fun of you and your southernness.
I was like, yeah, it's not really that southern. And literally the next day, there was a horse in the middle of campus, and I was like, yikes, this is a little texty. I was like, well, Lauren's gonna love this.
Because it's funny and because it's true, but also we have horses on campus because we have an equestrian team, but that's like different.
Yeah,
like
we have a one too apparently.
Fancy.
No, we have an equestrian club that I didn't know existed, but they won. We had this award thing at the school, and they won like a best club or whatever. They won like an award for it, and it was the intercollegiate equestrian team or something like that. And I was like, I did not know we had that.
Yeah, it's one of the things that like my college promotes because in New York it's a requirement to take PE to graduate. In the state of New York, you actually have to take PE in order to graduate. So the other option is if you don't want to take a PE class, you can join one of the sports teams. So you can join the equestrian team or join volleyball. But I am a retired volleyball player because I've sustained 5 concussions. And out of those 5, probably 4 of them were attributed to my POTS. Yay. But I'm
concussion buddies.
I've only
how many
a singular one.
Just one. Okay. He hasn't been through the trenches yet. I've had like 5.
Trenches. How about you just stop getting concussions, y'all?
I've only had one.
Just
it
don't.
was because of a deer.
That's
It wasn't even my fault.
you know, just don't get a concussion. It's that
See,
easy.
mine's just clumsiness because the first concussion I got, I was 5, and the latest concussion I got, I was 20. So I had like it was like a month after I just. Tori, if I could stop my concussions, I would. But I have cerebral palsy and can't see where I'm going and can't.
Just stop passing out. Stop being anxious.
This is what she does all the time. I'm just like, hey, I think that you're going to go down. She's like, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore.
Like, that's non-existent.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I don't. I decided right now I'm gonna stop having POTS.
You're gonna stop having POTS. You're telling your brain like, okay, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, guys, if we make this, like, if this was our last episode, I'd sign off being like, and I no longer have POTS. It'd be great.
Do like an outro.
Yeah, you know, like that outro music?
Yeah.
You know, it's
like,
exactly what I'm talking
yeah, I know exactly what outro music you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I just decided I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I'm just going to be healthy.
Don't we all? Wish that could happen, but like.
Oh my gosh. Get out of here. Positive health regimen. Crazy.
My gosh. All right. Well, we've almost been on here for an hour. So which is crazy. But I'm very glad that we were able to have Jacob on this episode and like get a chance and getting to like hear your experience and all of the things. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Disney Directors. Bye.